Welcome to my dance podcast, Hey Dancer. I'm your host, Miller DeRay, and today I'll be telling the story about the time I took a master class with an acclaimed, very prolific choreographer, always working in film, and I didn't wind up dancing. I stood off to the side, and it was one of the most embarrassing moments in my return to dance journey. Before we get to it, though, please kindly, wherever you're watching or listening, do the thing. Follow, subscribe, like, share, comment, rate, review. It really goes a long way. It helps a podcaster out, especially someone like myself, a new dance podcaster. Okay, let's get to it. This experience took place toward the latter part of my return to dance journey. I say latter only because right now I'm not in class. This is still happening right now, is my return to dance journey, because this healing path I've been on for a good couple of years is all part of the process. And I cannot wait to document my healing and pain and chronic pain and the neurological aspect of things and structural pain. It's fascinating. And again, I can't wait to share. And much more than that, I can't wait until I'm back in class. When I was dancing very aggressively after 3 decades away from dance, I would nowhere near feel confident enough to jump into a master class. I mean, come on. That obviously pretty much implies that that choreographer who's teaching the class, if it's a master class, well, if it's correct in its definition of a master class, it should be taught by somebody who is a professional, who has a lot of experience, and it's probably somebody who has worked a lot, making jobs available, for many dancers. And if you're going to go to a master class, you probably want to feel like somewhat confident in your abilities. And I was not feeling confident in my ability at all toward the beginning part of my return to dance. But as that year was progressing and moving on, I was getting better and making more connections and feeling like, oh, maybe I could handle a master class. And, it may depend on the teacher. So one teacher I love and adore, whose class I was in weekly, was Michael Rooney, very prolific, acclaimed choreographer. When he taught a master class, again, toward the latter part of that year I was dancing so much, I thought, you know what? Maybe I can show up to this. It may be a lot harder than his weekly class, but I like him so much and his vibe, and I feel safe in his presence. I'm going to give it a shot. And then I went. I went to a couple of his master classes, and they were always just an amazing experience. And that's a testament also to him. That said, there were many master classes at the time. I would never really I didn't feel confident enough yet in my ability to be in those classes. But as I said, I was beginning to feel like, maybe I can handle jumping into a master class with, oh my God, that really famous choreographer, or, whose class I've never taken, or who doesn't even teach a class, but they're teaching a master class. It's a really good opportunity, obviously, to meet people and to network, and hopefully, be on the radar, get on the radar of a working choreographer, so that eventually it may procure an employment opportunity. I mean, how amazing would that be, right? So, as someone who had disappeared from dance for so long, I didn't know really anybody anymore. Just a few of the names who were teaching and choreographing 3 decades ago. But obviously, a lot is going to change and there's going to be a lot of new names. And as I've mentioned before, I didn't watch any of the shows like So You Think You Can Dance. So I wasn't really aware of the landscape of dancers, choreographers. In my return to dance, I made a huge effort to learn, who's out there today, what are the styles, who are the people. And also in my weekly series now, The Rest of the Story, that's a whole other way of learning about these dance giants that is making me feel just so, I don't know, honored to be part of this fabric of dance. I see the yard blower man, by the way, and I'm having a panic attack because I chose to film in this moment because there was supposed to be no noise. And by the way, as I always say, no gossiping, no name dropping. That's not happening here. It was brought to my attention by a dance friend And I was very excited, to even have a dance friend, to meet some people in the dance world, in class. And all of a sudden, I'm like forging some friendships. It's like really exciting. And I learned also that in this return to dance journey, something that I never really anticipated was how much relationships and community was going to play a role, in this experience, and how important and crucial it really is, to feel like you're part of something is not just movement. It is the relationships. It's a big thing. So me even just having a dance friend who could tell me about a master class was actually really special to me. And this person had said, I know this choreographer well. I think you should take this person's class because I think it's right up your style. I think you're going to crush it. It was a sort of variant on jazz, if you will. So I was aware of who this choreographer was, which was saying something because, again, I didn't know a lot of people. I was like still learning. So if I knew who this person was, that was a big deal. I thought, all right, I trust my friend. And if my friend thinks I'm going to crush it, then, it's not like I need to crush it, but to have a good time and to meet some new people. And again, to be on the radar of this choreographer, because it was around this time that I realized something very, very big for myself in this return to dance stuff. And that is, see, I'm trying to, by the way, not say the word journey so much. I feel like it's so overused today. And I say return to dance journey a lot. People asked me a lot, what do you want from, returning to dance? And even in my pilot episode of my docuseries on YouTube, Back to Great, where I chronicle, all, the full journey in chronological order. If you really want to appreciate it, you need to be watching my docuseries. I cannot stress this enough. I even said in the pilot, I don't know what I want from this. That's for the universe to decide, for the universe to figure out. I'm just open to the experience and the process. And what I really want is just to inspire others to return to something, to return to a past love that they maybe forgot about, and that it is possible to do so. That was really my only intention. But sometime around where this story is taking place that I'm telling you today, I started to have a new goal. It was a little more clear to me what I want, in addition to what I just mentioned, and that is I want to work. I want to be a working dancer. To me, returning to dance and going on this journey and making this project is realized in the way that I feel like is really impactful. This may not be true, but it feels true for me. If I'm actually working in the industry, booking professional jobs, and all of a sudden it just hit me one day, oh, I want to work. I want to book jobs as a dancer. So this is around that time. I mean, any dancer, and speaking as an actor, of course, like any opportunity that may be, presented before me, taking a workshop with a casting director or a director or an actor, whatever it is, like you want to get on their radar because you're just pounding the pavement to do the things so that you may get future opportunities to work. I mean, of course, you want to be super just in the moment about it and spiritual about it and just think, well, my only job really is just to show up and do the best I can and hopefully, leave an impression and they remember me, but I have no control over anything else, like none. And that is all very true. It doesn't mean, though, that you can't understand the business aspect of show business and know that you need to do the things to make your presence known to people who are in charge of hiring. Like it's just the reality of it. So a masterclass could very much be thought of, perhaps very wisely, in the same way. So I show up to this masterclass at a very, very popular studio. It's past my bedtime. For some reason, masterclasses are always late. This is a struggle for someone like myself who likes to be in bed, lights out by 9:30. That was also a challenging part of returning to dance. The classes tend to be so late with the teachers I want to take from so often. So I see my friend in class and, oh, that's really cool. You have somebody in class who and it feels sort of supportive. And they were very supportive. And again, they were like, you're going to kill it. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. And because they had a good relationship with this choreographer, this person is really a working dancer. And I just felt like, great, I can't wait to do this. I was super, super stoked. So the warm up was amazing, I remember. And now we're doing what felt like to me a little bit like acting class, theater camp. This particular choreographer had, I believe, a lot of experience in movie musicals. So the intent of the class, which was not made clear before the class, it wasn't advertised anywhere, and that's important. It should be. There was a lot of talk and education about your role as a dancer in a movie musical and how it is, you are to support the leads and how it is to dance and do really complicated choreography while also singing and how to embody a character and things like that. Now, as an actor, I feel confident in how to embody a character. You have to know, for me, I admit on this, I don't know if it's a character flaw, and I don't know if it's just a quirky part of me. But as an actor, I didn't love studying too much. I love the sort of raw naturalness. I love instinct. I fully grant that studying and training as an actor for a lot of actors is a great thing. And for some actors, it's not. It reminds me of a story I heard. Whatever you think of him, he's one of the best actors of all time, Kevin Spacey. And he went to Juilliard. He's on record as saying that when he went to Juilliard, his class it full of people who were just raw, just natural, gifted, innate talent, right? And he saw as they were training and studying, and as the months and the years progressed, their gift was kind of drilled out of them. A lot of these actors who walked in with so much raw, natural ability became very cerebral, like very in their head. It now became about training. They began to think too much as opposed to just being, which is why he ultimately left Juilliard. I didn't really want to train too much. Like there was a thing in me that just knew that the less I know about craft and trusted my instincts, the better I'd be off as an actor. For me, it's about experience and it's about tapping into a character, exploring, and then eventually you just come up with what works for you. I know that this is, by the way, side note, like a very contested topic. It's a debated topic. It's a hot topic. A lot of people have their theories. No, 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 you must train for years. And other people are like, but here's a million examples of people who didn't really train and they're gifted. And I mean, there's no right or wrong. Again, it's what works for you. Oh, this is funny. I didn't even think about this. I kind of forgot. I auditioned for Juilliard, and this is related to this topic. So I remember, to San Francisco. I took a plane and I was petrified of flying, but I paid for all the things by myself. I got like a motel there and I auditioned. And I'm not going to talk about that whole audition, but I remember one aspect of it, which was in the beginning, they wanted this room full of hundreds of us, all these, actors trying to be, getting into Juilliard. We had to choose an animal. We had to be the animal. And I just remember this room of 100 at least aspiring actors, right? Just, this person's an elephant, that person's a kangaroo, that person's a bunny. I don't freaking know. I have no idea what I was. And I remember so well in the moment thinking, commit to this. And I did commit to it. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, this is dumb because this does not in any way indicate what kind of an actor I am. It just doesn't. It's those exercises in acting class that I have to admit, and I've heard a lot of really big deal actors talk about this too. It's like nonsense. But again, for me and for some and for others, it's everything. I fully recognize that. So I bring it back now to this masterclass because this choreographer was having us do similar things. We had to embody characters. Who wants to be X, Y, Z character? Now you're going to go across the floor and you're going to be this character and do this kind of movement. And I remember just thinking, really, really, like if I were on set as a dancer and I had to, be a character, it would be no problem. And it wouldn't be like it was in this master class. It just feels like camp. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just how I feel. Forgive me, okay? I recognize that this may work for a lot of people, and for a lot of people, maybe it doesn't. I'm one of those people where it doesn't really work. I have a sort of aversion to it. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm here to dance. I just want to dance. And then I remember from this master class that we had to go across the floor in groups. And I don't remember who chose the groups, but it was like groups of 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, whatever it is. You had to basically come together. You had to think of a movement and each of you had to do your own movement and then bring it together and go across the floor in a group and do it to this music. Again, it was just all, it was kind of improv. To be honest, that was kind of fun, I admit it. But for me, again, this is just me. I don't feel like I'm learning from this. Maybe some people do. I personally don't. But it was an experience. I'm like, okay, I'm meeting new people and, we're doing this thing across the floor. And okay, fine, great, good, good, good. So, the warm up and these exercises, the across the floor, pretty good. Okay. Now, the majority of the master class, probably 60% of it, was doing the combination. Here's where things got really interesting. The choreographer decided to do what I mentioned earlier, which is kind of this is how it's going to be on a musical. If you're a dancer working on set, you have to sing a song generally. So you have to know the words to the song and do the choreo to the song. This choreographer taught us choreography at a alarmingly fast pace and a lot of choreo. Like it was one of those like 18 plus counts of eight situations. The choreographer was like, who knows the song? And everybody knew the song. So I don't know where the hell I was in my life, but I did not know this song at all. So you had to know the song, and the choreographer, to their credit, had a table with the lyrics, like a piece of paper, and I think even had put up a couple of papers around the studio. Like if you don't know the lyrics, you can get it here, you can look on the wall over here. And when I tell you it was paragraphs of lyrics plus the chorus, it was a lot like there. And I have a pretty good memory, and I've done as an actor all the cold reading things and learning lines fast. Oh, are you kidding? There was no way that I could learn these lyrics in 45 or whatever minutes, not to mention choreo on top of it and do it at the same time. What? No. That was just like, what? It was just so much to process. And I just was looking around me, and it was like, no big deal for everybody. They all seemed to know the song, and somehow they were catching the choreography no problem, which is, by the way, another testament to the fact that most people who go to a master class are probably professionals and can pick up choreography very, very quickly. Although I will tell you, there was a part of me that just kind of knew in my gut that it was being taught a little too fast, and there was a little too much choreography. Like it just wasn't ending. I don't know what to do as a dancer in that situation. I've posted videos online before where I talked about walking out of class, and a lot of people are very supportive of that. You're honoring yourself. It's your class, you're paying for it. Do what you got to do. Like, if that situation is way above your pay grade, and the best way to truly honor yourself is to leave, then leave. There is a power in knowing, and in a power of just being like, I tried my best and I gotta go. Like, it's not gonna work for me, and there's no way, as hard as I even could try to push through it, there's just no way that I can. And then there's the other side that's like, no matter what, you gotta stay. No matter what, you gotta push through it. Even if it's just you showing up to, three counts of eight, and you wanna just crush those three counts of eight, and the rest 10 plus counts of eight are just you're all over the place, then you can just, excuse yourself from the combo during such time. But, at least try to better yourself and stay in the room, because you're really only doing yourself a disservice if you're leaving. I personally think it depends on the situation. This situation for me was different and extreme, because it wasn't just endless choreo and taught at a super fast pace, which already would be probably too much for my brain. It was a song on top of it. And on top of that, it became clear quickly that the class was going to shut down about 20 minutes early. They were going to be filming. This is going to be on the social media. And on top of all of that, this choreographer was starting to do formations, I guess. It was like, all right, I'm going to get, you on the right side of the room, you're going to come in, on this lyric. And on the left side of the room, you're going to come in on this part of the song. And you in the back, let's have you all, come in, and you're going to come in. So it became all of a sudden a performance, like literal formations. It was like, what? And you had to know what you were doing. And somehow I was the only one who didn't. And I just had to excuse myself about, I don't know, maybe halfway through learning it. I was so lost. And I had so much anxiety about it. And I was so sad about it. And I was so frustrated. And I was so embarrassed. And I was scared. And honestly, I was irritated too. I was all the things. This studio didn't have a very clear exit. If I were going to leave, it would have been a statement, and I didn't want to make a really bad impression. It was the first time I was meeting this choreographer. My decision was to stay and be on the sidelines. I thought, oh no, I hope I'm not, spreading weird energy and my friend might feel any particular way about the fact that they can see that I've chosen not to dance. And oh my gosh, it's obvious I must feel awkward. But there was me standing on the side, dying inside, trying to physically, outwardly at least, show support and smile and know that I look how I look. Let's review just for a moment before I get to the end of the story, which is actually, I think, affirming and very sweet. And that is, there was a song, and I didn't know the song. And I actually forgot to mention that at some point I decided to just not sing along, that it was way too much mental strain and energy to try to remember the words to a song in like 2 seconds, thank you very much, and 18 whatever plus counts of eight. And by the way, this is interesting, I think at least. If I saw this choreography on social media, knowing nothing about the class, I would not think it was that hard. It wasn't that challenging looking. And it's a really good learning experience for me as a dancer to not take for granted how difficult seemingly easy looking choreography is, especially if it's super fast paced. And you don't know, by the way, watching the video, you know how quickly the combination was taught, how well it was taught. Did the teacher field questions? Did they shut down for filming and you only had X amount of time to learn the choreo? Oh, wait a minute. Did these dancers even know the song ahead of time? Did they have to learn the song? Are you kidding? Wait, what? There are just so many elements you cannot know because honestly, looking at the choreo, when I saw it later on social media, it doesn't look that hard. And it's honestly not that hard. If I, by the way, thank you very much, had time to rehearse it. I broke a cardinal rule and I did not thank the choreographer after class. I was just mortified and probably a little sick to my stomach by the experience. And as soon as the class was over, I just jetted out of there. I didn't even talk to my friend. But I'm very happy to say that this friend called me, actually called. Who calls anymore? Like the phone ringing call. It wasn't a text, like my phone rang. I was like, what? I picked up the phone and the first thing they said was, okay, how you doing? What's going through your mind? How can I help? What's going on? Something like that. And I thought, oh, that was really sweet. And I needed that because I didn't even, if I forgot to mention, I didn't say goodbye to this person either. Like I needed to get out of there. And I just said what I'm telling you. My God, it was taught so fast. So this is what I learned talking to my friend. And this is a big deal, I think. One, I don't know why my friend didn't say this to me beforehand. Maybe they just didn't know what this choreographer was going to teach. Apparently, this choreographer had taught this same combination with the same setup in the lyrics, the song, the whole thing at multiple master classes in this calendar year. And according to my friend, the majority, if not pretty much everyone in that class, had already taken a master class from this choreographer and done this same routine. That should have been announced. I'm sorry, it should have been. I think I even have a social media post where I told a story about a dance teacher who was like, you might be standing next to somebody who learned this routine already. I've done this routine 3 times. So if it's your first time, just understand that. And that's a big deal. Most teachers don't say that stuff, and that is how you should begin. It's how you should begin because inevitably somebody might be new and it's a lot to learn and everybody around you is crushing it, but they already knew it and you didn't know that? What? So I feel like teachers need to be a little more transparent about these things. So that was one thing, learning that the majority, if not all the people in class had already taken master classes with this choreographer, learning the same combination and song. Okay. And then at some point I said, not wanting to sound like I was complaining, but I said, it was just taught so fast. And then this person said, much to my surprise, yeah, I don't know why they taught so fast today, but they definitely taught way quicker than usual. What? I mean, these are things that are so useful and helpful and productive even for me as a dancer to know. Because if I didn't have that friend, I could have, and I already was creating so many stories. Our masterclass has always taught this fast. What is my deal that I can't pick up choreo so much? In other classes, I pick it up just fine. Well, lo and behold, this choreographer in this one masterclass, probably because they knew the majority of class already knew it, and they've been teaching it so much already this particular year, that they could go at a faster pace to perhaps get more content for social media. And I saw, by the way, endless clips of this choreo on social media, and it looked damn good. I mean, that whole thing I was talking about with formations and groups coming in from right, left, back, center, whatever, it looks so good. The choreographer had a plan and probably knew in some capacity, even before the class, that they were working with dancers who were already familiar enough with it to crush the idea this choreographer had. Talking to my friend obviously made me feel so much better, right? Because to have that insight, and honestly, kind of lucky to have a little bit, to have somebody who knew more than I did. As much as I already explained the environment to you, and yeah, I feel like I did have a lot of cards stacked against me. Ultimately, it's how I react to the situation. And maybe if there's a lesson here, I try to bring things full circle to have some kind of, something meaningful at the end of maybe even a silly story or something. And maybe this time it's just, honor yourself. That teacher doesn't know my story. I don't know the teacher's story. We're both just two people doing our best in a certain situation. And for me in that moment, honoring myself meant that I had to just step away. Sometimes you have to be okay with a decision, an executive decision that you make in the moment, an extreme, hard, cut, fast decision to honor yourself best. And that's what it was for me in that moment. I had to let go, I had to surrender, I had to just actively participate as an audience member and show support in that capacity because I knew in this particular situation, this random situation, that pushing through was not going to serve me. What was going to serve me was just to step away. And there is a power in knowing when to step away and when it's right for you. And the more dance classes you experience and the more master classes, the more you'll be able to understand for you, what works, when you should push through, and maybe when you shouldn't. I remember in the moment of being aware of it and thinking, Miller, just send love. Send love to the teacher right now. Send love to all these dancers. Yes, I felt all those things, like I mentioned before, embarrassed, and I was scared, and I was sad, and all the things. But I also actively remember like stepping outside of myself and saying, hey, this is just a moment. It's just a master class. It's not really that big of a deal. Send love. And I left the class, and I remember for the next week, I was like, I'm sending love to the choreographer. And who knows if I ever see that choreographer again, maybe for an audition, I don't know what. I highly doubt they'd remember. They might remember the situation, although, you got to imagine they have 4,000 class experiences a year and on set experiences, and they're always working. And, at the end of the day, like I said, it's not that big of a deal. That said, in the very, very super, super infinitesimally small chance that this choreographer might remember, even though we've never communicated since, that I was the dancer who stood off to the side, it could really spark conversation between us. That's good and productive, because I know that every choreographer who wants their class to be a bad experience for somebody, maybe this is the teachable moment, this particular podcast, Maybe, for example, you're a choreographer listening to this and you're about to do a master class, or that's in your future, God bless you. And you need to be aware of taking in the entire class, all of the students. Everybody is paying the same amount of money for the same amount of time. If you're advertising a master class to be X, then it should be X, just because the majority of students, if not basically all, from what I heard, already experienced X doesn't mean you need to now advance it and go on to Z, into teaching it. I'm also not going to begrudge the teacher for seeing the majority of students in class, knowing what they can handle, knowing what they've already experienced, and wanting just to up it a couple notches. I mean, I get it also. Is it fair to everybody? No. That said, as a dancer, as an artist, you know that much of your experiences are going to be learning experiences and they're not always going to be quote unquote fair. And you better rise to the challenge. And it just so happens that in this one class, I wasn't able to rise to the challenge. And I don't begrudge myself for not being able to. I honored myself in the moment. And that's what it's all about. Rise to the challenge. And if in that moment it's just not working for you, surrender, let go, and know that it's a learning experience, and walk away from it and just send love and think, why was I not able to do in this moment, in this class, what was asked of me? And what can I learn from this moment? Whether it's a class, a master class, or an audition, or whatever it is, and you'll be much, much better off as a dancer. That's where the growth is. All right, so thank you so much for being here. If you found this story in any way compelling, entertaining, you learned something, it was fun, whatever, Dance Fam, please share and review and rate. I'm not seeing my reviews go up, but apparently I've got more listeners. So, hey, it just takes a moment. Rate it, review it, comment, like, follow, subscribe. It really does help. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.